Let's talk about what happened in European Union elections last week. It was overall mostly negative results from a socialist and democratic perspective. The far right continues to surge across Europe, in France, in Italy, rising margins in Germany as well. And of course, the Brexit party under the quintessential British clown fascist Nigel Farage had excellent results for itself. Now, we shouldn't overread these results, frankly. The Labour Party had bad results in the UK, but not as disastrous as some people would make it out to be. And there are some lenses of hope. In fact, Mark Bottega, who's been a guest on this show on the future of European socialism, was elected to represent European Parliament from Belgium on a new Communist Party democratic platform. So there are positive signals here as well. And we need to get back to like the core strategic frame of how to understand these results and the best way to deal with them. The Remain versus Leave frame in the UK remains a bad one. It's a frame of cheap culture war pugilists and fascists like Nigel Farage. And it is also a frame that helps parties like the Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats have been surging in the UK. The Liberal Democrats who entirely discredited themselves when they joined the David Cameron government in 2010 and served into 2015, gutting the United Kingdom, increasing poverty, slashing services, generating the crisis that has led to the rise of parties like the UKIP and the Brexit Party and the crisis of Brexit itself. But the Liberal Democrats, who were not even committed to caucusing with center-left forces in the European Parliament and have consistently favored big business and austerity, were able to position themselves perfectly to exploit the concerns of affluent, metropolitan Remain voters. Now, these voters are not getting spoken to by Labour at the end of the day. Labour lost significant seats. And in Germany, we saw the SPD have a disastrous result, as well as Die Linke, the left party in formation in Germany, also having subpar results as well. Now, the path forward for the Labour Party in particular is very complicated because on one hand, all sincere people in the British left, including people like Novara Media and people who are actually committed to the democratic socialist project and saving the United Kingdom from the Tories, from the fascists, and from the remnants of Tony Blair's New Labour project, have maintained correctly that Brexit is the product of a longer formation of crisis in the United Kingdom, that it is not the only crisis in the United Kingdom, that rapidly exploding rates of poverty and inequality and gutting of services and handing over of the economy to the city, the United Kingdom's version of Wall Street, is the fundamental structural problem. However, we've run into a point where while Labour is absolutely correct that there must be another election, with Theresa May, of course, now resigning, the next prime minister not being elected directly from the people, but from a party, as an example, which is practiced at times in the UK, but adds to the illegitimacy of this reckless Tory government. The Labour Party under Corbyn has actually been enormously effective, even though they've been under constant onslaught from the media, the corporate classes, backstabbers from the center and the right wing of the Labour Party, and of course, all of the right-wing formations in the UK. They have put back on the table actual plans to protect labor, to democratize business, to save and expand the NHS. An NHS that, by the way, private companies in the United States are gunning for and will be under threat in any liberal Democrat, Tory, or right-wing Labour government, without any question. Corbyn has also blocked Theresa May's worst impulses and worst plans on Brexit. That said, even as I have made this argument many times myself, that yes, should the frame be away from Remain or Leave and back to class? Absolutely. But the reality is that Brexit is enough of a crisis, and there is enough of a constituency that primarily do see politics through that filter, because it is the primary engine of at least media crisis and actual crisis in the UK right now, that the Labour strategy of 2017 is not working in 2019. So what should they do? Following Aaron Bastani of Novara Media, he recommends an acquiescence of a second referendum. The acknowledgement that there is enough serious political momentum here to require giving people the opportunity to vote on Brexit again. And he says, as I've said many times, that the polls indicate that Brexit may well pass again. The people who are fixated on Remain want to highlight the positive results of the pro-European Liberal Democratic Party. The lead vote getter was the Brexit Party. And Jeremy Corbyn, in fact, has been trying to triangulate between a couple of different impulses. One, he represents an actual democratic socialist position, which has a principled critique of the European Union, because the European Union is a transnational capitalist institution. That's number one. Number two, he is reaching out to and speaking to most Labour Party voters who are opposed to Brexit. However, there are many Labour constituencies that voted for Brexit, versions of their own sort of outraged populist class voting on Brexit. So it's a very difficult political proposition, and it has been used relentlessly. Most recently, Alistair Campbell, Tony Blair's former top spin doctor, who helped lead the UK with a vicious propaganda campaign into the invasion of Iraq, was expelled from the Labour Party because he publicly said that he voted for Liberal Democrats. Well, guess what? Labour Party rules say if you publicly state you vote for another party, you're gone. There's nothing melodramatic about this, but it's been used as another front in the attack on Corbyn. Following Bastani, the United Kingdom, the Labour Party, should accept and back a second referendum. But it should also redouble its efforts to, one, absolutely uproot forces in the party opposed to Corbyn and opposed to the democratic will of the party. And then at the same time, and I don't know the answer to this, but there needs to be a serious synthesis that fuses the renewal of socialism and class politics with what in the bad version is a upper middle class bourgeois politics of identity, as represented by the Liberal Democrats, as represented by the right-wing part of the German Green Party that also had great results in the European elections. With the fact that some of those voters, however, are absolutely right to be terrified at the rise of fascism, want to support an internationalist project, and want to put opposing bigotry and xenophobia at the forefront. And while Corbyn and Labour have been principled and clear in speaking very strongly against the bigotry represented by the Tory party and the Brexit party and so on, those two constituencies need to be bridged in a way that renews a cosmopolitan, socialist, and internationalist approach. It may actually be that even some of the arguments and social campaign that Bernie Sanders, as an example, is doing, that seamlessly is weaving together the struggles of the workers at Walmart or Amazon with, as an example, him going and breaking a Ramadan fast with members of the Muslim community. That sort of really clear shared civic commitment against the bigotry of what Trump and Salvini and all these other thugs represent, with that clearly anchored class politics, might be the potential synthesis that we need moving forward. But we need solidarity with Corbyn, and Corbyn needs an innovation and an updating of a position that worked a couple of years ago but needs to be renewed for now, so that, in fact, the Labour Party can finally take power. And as a final word on this, and I'm sorry to be presumptuous, obviously I'm not a citizen of the UK, but we are a solidarity-driven and internationalist show. And I will just say, obviously, goes without, Tories, UKIP, Brexit Party, horrible. But friends don't let friends vote Liberal Democrat. Look up their record. Look up their lies on tuition freeze. Look up the mismatch between their record on ecology and their rhetoric on ecology. The German Greens, much more interesting party with some genuine accomplishments in the environment. But what a profound and tragic danger if the future of ecological politics was divorced from a struggle for dignity and class and the good of all. We need to bridge those divides, and we need to do it in a down-to-earth way and defeat fascism together. For the many, not the few, which should still be Labor's slogan. You guys have anything you want to add to that?
I just wanted to add how it's really important also to recognize how easy it is for the Lib Dems to sort of push Corbyn in a kind of fantastical way in their support of a second referendum. I mean, we've even seen Ed Davey, who's now standing for the leadership of the Lib Dem party, to say that he wants the Queen to come in and block Brexit from happening, and to recognize, and I'm sorry, you see something like that, and you can only imagine how that emboldens the far right in the UK. Because if you start saying things, we're going to throw away, results of elections because we don't like the result, that creates serious crisis.
Well, that goes back to David Adler's research. David Adler, that was in the New York Times about a year ago, that the one group that has the most formal objection and willingness to discard democracy are so-called centrists.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a party that traces its lineage to John Stuart Mill, saying that the monarch should cancel an election result. People should really take that in a little bit.
So so basically it's like, don't be fooled by them because they see a huge opportunity to come after a very popular left-wing movement and pull voters away. And they draw those false
equivalencies too, just to add to what you're saying. No, they're just like Howard Schultz. They say we could never go into coalition with Boris Johnson, but neither Jeremy Corbyn. But because of course, being a buffoonish Brexiteer xenophobe blowhard is absolutely the same as being a principled democratic socialist. That's how demented they are.
The fact is that the Lib Dems aren't going to be able to win a general election on their own policies and merits. They can only try to undermine the Labour Party and the successes that Jeremy Corbyn has had by using this kind of Brexit thing as a shield to pursue their nastier objectives and what they actually will do if they come into power. So yeah, friends don't let friends vote Lib Dem.
Friends don't. Hashtag of tonight's show, friends don't let friends vote Lib Dem. Matt, you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I just say check out Novara Media if you want to check out this stuff, because I found them, I can't remember, like a year or two ago, and it was nice to see that. That wasn't around when I was in the UK, fact checking that type of media.
No, they're important. Hopefully we'll do some collaborations with them in the future. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.